This is Motorsport Radio.
1, 2.
Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.
Hey up and welcome. It's the Superbike show. Lester here, and Lewis and Jay King is here. And we've all just got back from what we've been doing at the weekend. Jay, you were at Brands Hatch. What were you up to? And have you sobered up yet?
Well, watching some of the most closest and epic racing ever seen. It was really good. Massive crowd at Brands Hatch this weekend. Probably one of the biggest BSB crowds I've ever seen. Loads of people came out to watch the title decider between, effectively 5 people, but really it was down to 2. 3 going into the last race, but 2 really to decide the championship. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it on tonight's show.
We might mention it a few times for sure. Definitely. As well as some potential controversy, as BSB may have been hit today with one team going down in the championship, in one of the support championships, in a blaze of sour grapes. That's the accusation this afternoon. Did you see the post on Facebook? Well, we'll discuss it anyway, just because everyone else is talking about it. But we're not going to tell you too much about it because we also don't want to get sued. So if you know about it, then you know about it. If you don't, then we're not going to tell you about it, if that makes any sense. No?
They put the post up, people can screenshot it, so we can talk about it as much as we like.
Exactly. Without any names. Lewis, what have you been up to? How have you been? Been all right?
Yeah, I've been all right. Had a good old haggis supper for tea, staying Scottish, and woke up early at the weekend to watch some MotoGP, and then a full day of BSB as well. So yeah, it was a pretty long Sunday of just watching racing, but I can't complain. Very good. Yeah, and because we're live this evening on what day is it? Tuesday, whatever it is. You can get your comments into us tonight at Motorsport Radio, and let us know just exactly how much accurate information we're talking about various things. MotoGP, oh yeah, that happened as well. Moto3, Moto2, we'll talk a bit about that, and all the things coming up this weekend, Phillip Island, and looking ahead to World Superbikes as well. So quite a lot to get through tonight on the show. Get your comments in. What was your favourite moment of the season in BSB? Tell us in the comments box below. What was your favourite moment of the entire season? Was it at the very end with Tommy Bridewell winning by just half a point? Or was it something else? Was it maybe your favourite rider winning? Or maybe wasn't even in BSB? Was it in one of the support class races? Then do get in touch and let us know. In the meantime, Lewis, big headlines. Go for it. Well, as you just alluded to there, Tommy Bridewell, he is now the BSB champion by just half a point after all the races this season. Of course, 35 points up for grabs at the final round of the championship at Brands Hatch. The 2024 BSB calendar has also been announced, with the British Superbikes heading to Spain to go to the Navarra circuit, which of course is owned by MSV, and Silverstone has been put out. MotoGP, though, last weekend at Indonesia, the championship lead changed twice, with Jorge Martin taking the championship lead in the sprint race before Bagnaia snatched it back in the main race after Martin crashed. So Bagnaia now leads the championship by 18 points. Marc Marquez as well throughout last week finally announced that he's heading to Gresini, so all the talk and all the rumours is finally done with, because it's official. MotoGP as well, they'll head to Phillip Island this weekend, with Pedro Acosta feeling high after his win in the Moto2 class in Indonesia. Aaron Canet finished second in that one, Jake Dixon in fourth after fighting his way through the fields. Moto3, Moreira claims his first race win in the Moto3 class, and the first Brazilian race winner since Alex Barros. So been a long time for that one. David Alonso and David Munoz joined him at the podium. Scott Ogden sadly crashing out, and Sasaki crashing out on the sighting lap. So a lot to get through from last weekend, and of course a small matter of MotoGP that's heading to Phillip Island this weekend. So a dramatic weekend last weekend, of course, and our main talking point
probably will be the fact that BSB went down to the final race of the year, and in fact the final race of the year between Glenn Irwin, Tommy Bridewell and Kyle Ryde.
Yeah, definitely, and that is the main story. This evening on the Superbike Show Sport Radio. Get in touch with us and have your say, and let us know exactly what you think about everything. So I'll be monitoring the comments box. I just threw me out in the little audio. You can hear that.
Yeah, I think you've got so excited from the weekend that you've lost. That you're wearing out your voice anyway.
Right. Lewis and Jay, talk about BSB. I'm going to get my hammer out and fix some audio stuff.
Yeah. Where do you want to start then?
We'll start with pretty much start from qualifying really, where when it was a soaking wet qualifying, because they even had a hailstorm at one point, didn't they? It proper came down.
It was delayed.
Pardon?
It was delayed initially qualifying.
Yeah. So they had it proper hammered it down. Didn't go too well for Glenn. That kind of put him not too much on the back foot, but it didn't help the situation. I think he qualified 17th, something like that. So wasn't great. Usual Glenn or Tommy, like they did at Donington, because both of them were pretty far down. They both came through really quickly. But in the Saturday race, it was a really thin, dry line, wasn't it? We're going to put similarities to the MotoGP race later, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, it was Jason O'Halloran and Kyle Ryde kind of cleared off at the front, with Tommy in third, and then Glenn caught him up towards the end. Did go for that move, but had to go onto the wet patch and just couldn't make it stick. And now we look back at the whole weekend, that was probably the move that kind of cost him the championship, really.
Yeah, it was always going to be a tricky move, but he looked at trying it anyway a couple of laps before. And the way Tommy was riding and the way the Beer Monster Ducatis are, I mean, they're identical motorcycles. So really, Tommy Bridewell, he would just release the brake and make sure that Glenn Irwin couldn't get past. So he had to find something inventive, and he did try. But yeah, as you said, wet on the wet patch, and had to run wide. And that moment potentially, it actually has cost him the championship, looking back on it now. But at the time, he did everything he could. He tried his best, and it was definitely a brave move to make him in fourth place finish after starting down in 17th position as well. Keep in mind, I think he had it was some sort of issue with the bike anyway, if I remember right. I think it was a front brake issue that just wasn't right, or wasn't giving the feeling, so he could get his tyre temperatures up fully. But yeah, Glenn Irwin battling for the field up into fourth, super impressive. And of course, both the Yamahas in the tough conditions, like you maybe would expect in first and second as well. And it was really that race which you started to wonder, could Kyle Ryde properly have a chance properly have a crack at winning the championship?
I was surprised to see, I wasn't surprised. Kyle is a really good rider, but Brands has never really been his track that he's done well at. But I think all of Friday, he topped the sheets in the wet, dry and the damp. And yeah, really impressed by Kyle. And yeah, he won that first race, even though he did come under loads of pressure from Jason O'Halloran, who I think he pretty much knew he wasn't going to win the championship this weekend, but I think he was very desperate to get a win for the team before, obviously, they closed their doors as it was their last race meeting. So, yeah, it was a really, really good performance from Kyle, who we also don't know him as like a tricky weather condition rider. He's always struggled in the wet and damp. So it was, yeah, really impressive ride by Kyle, and kind of put him in the championship contention a bit going into Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. He was just talking about race number one. And yeah, like you mentioned, Kyle Ryde set his stall out pretty early, didn't he? In that he was not really bothered about he was in title contention himself. Right up until, I suppose, race 2, I think. Is that fair to say?
He made a few mistakes on the brakes in race 2. He maybe could have had the pace to win that race, and if he had won that race, then he would have been right back in contention. But made a few mistakes on the brakes that cost him really. For the last race.
Definitely, and it was great to see. And like you say, you just mentioned about which race was actually there was a wet race, wasn't there, or a slippery?
Well, a slippery, yeah, that was race 1.
Race 1 on the Saturday. Yeah, because I remember. So it might have been you, Jay, telling us that it's going to be definitely dry all weekend. It's going to be good weather. We're going to see a classic, and then he starts bucketing down.
To be fair, even when we were there Saturday, it was only that downpour cloud that we got where it absolutely hammered it down, probably for 15 minutes, no longer than that. Like, there was no, like, if you looked at all the weather apps and things like that, it wasn't meant to be there. It wasn't meant to happen. So, yeah, it wasn't just a surprise to me. It was a surprise to all the teams as well. It was just a small cloud. It wasn't very windy either. So that cloud sat on top of Brands Hatch for a while. And, yeah, it just completely soaked the track because it absolutely hammered it down. So, yeah, it was a shock to me, and I think a whole shock to the paddock. And a lot of fans did get soaking wet as well.
It produced a good race anyway, with lots of unpredictability. And Glenn Irwin did fantastic. I think he started 17th in race number 1 and finished in 4th place, just behind Tommy Bridewell, as you already probably know anyway. And Glenn won race number 2 just ahead of Tommy Bridewell, but only just, with Kyle Ryde putting up another valiant effort with Ryan Vickers, seemingly just, I may be wrong on this, but he seemingly just was literally just helping Kyle.
Yeah, being a bodyguard, shall we say.
One would probably think that would be the sporting thing to do, but it's probably not. Probably shouldn't presume.
He didn't go for those lunges when he ran wide at the.
He could have done, couldn't he?
So.
Yeah. So he did well anyway, picking up a 4th place in race number 2, and Lee Jackson, who seemingly struggled for most of the weekend up until race number 2. I think he had a bit of a dodgy qualifying, and then he managed to claw himself into the top 10. Only finished 9th, and just sort of. Well, I don't know what's happened with him the past this past round, but he's I would have thought, I mean, he coming into Brands Hatch, he was in title contention, but he just sort of, for whatever reason, he just kind of vanished off everyone's radars. But race 2 he finished in 5th place, and in race 3 he finished in 8th as well. So I don't even know who finished where in race number 3, because we were only just watching the leaders. I'm just finding all this out now. Big shout out to Fraser Rogers as well. What did he do? I think he
finished 17th in race 1 and a DNF from race 2. And then in race 3, Fraser Rogers finished 19th. And as well as Fraser Rogers, Tom Booth-Amos was also out there this weekend, not on the Pathway bike, but on the Tag Racing Honda as well. He did up and down weekend. He crashed it. But I don't want to say of course, but Tom Booth-Amos, I don't want to say of course over Tom Booth-Amos crashed it, but, he does crash now and then, let's just say. So Booth-Amos on the Tag Racing Honda. It was great seeing some new players anyway in it. Hopefully we can see them on a full-time BSB ride. And as well, actually, in race 1, one thing we forgot to mention was the fact that Haslam crashed in race 1 and,
pretty early on,
out of any chances.
Yeah, he was him and Kyle Ryde. I forgot the points difference between him and Ryde, but I think they were pretty close coming into this weekend. And like you say, he DNF'd in race number 1. That was pretty much the end of his title challenge. Something he's not too unfamiliar with at Brands Hatch.
He always struggled. He struggled at the earlier round on the B&W at Brands Hatch. I don't think he was going into this round with a great deal of confidence, and it kind of looked like that in the riding as well.
Other people, just having a quick look at some of the other results from the other races, race 1 and race 2, who stood out, who had good weekends. Christian Idden, once again on it, certainly in race number 1.
Had a big crash, a big high side in race 2.
Yeah, he did. But race number 1, he was right up there for sure. And in race 3 as well, he finished in 6th place as well. Something that, again, we didn't see because we were just watching the leaders on the TV. So, yeah,
Max Cook had a really good weekend, such a good weekend that he took the rookie championship off Charlie Nesbitt, who was pretty bob on to get it, but he did actually take the rookie championship off Charlie in the last race.
Right, okay. Didn't know that. So congrats, well done. I
think he did get a 6th place in one race, I believe. I think it was the second one, maybe.
Max Cook, he got P7.
Yeah, so...
P7, and he was on Facebook just 20 minutes ago saying what an exciting day watching his new teammate Jason O'Halloran.
Yeah, they haven't hung around there getting him out on the Kawasaki.
Yeah,
I do remember actually last year that I think pretty much straight after the last round that Max was out on the Superbike. So yeah, the Kawasaki team FS3 team don't hang about when they're getting their new riders out as soon as they can before the weather truly does go dreadful. It is good to get their rider out on there. Probably not the bike they're going to be on next season, but at least they're out on the make of bike they're going to be on next season.
A nice bit of end of season PR, even if just to, why not? A bit of a end of season PR, something nice to go into the winter with. Your winter testing program. I think most people have got a program of testing, mostly in Spain.
Well, it'll only be on road bikes because they're not allowed to test on their superbikes unless it is an official test.
Okay. Interesting. So, yeah, BSB then. So, Tommy Bridewell, overall, the season then, Jay, for you, was it, because we've said for a few weeks now, this was lining up to be one of the all-time classic seasons, and it did come into the final round with that potential, with the bar, I suppose, being the Tommy Hill and
John Hopkins
final. What was it? 12 years ago now.
Yeah,
so that was the bar, but that all happened basically kind of like on the last lap. That was but this weekend, it was not a slow burner, not a slow boil, but you just got the sense of that. Even though we didn't get that show-stopping finish like we did 12 years ago, I think a lot of people were already, well, I know a lot of people have already been saying on Facebook anyway, that this was probably the best ever BSB season. But what do you think, Jay?
I think as like the whole season has gone, I think it has been a brilliant season and probably one of the best. I still think the John Hopkins Tommy Hill was the better last race to decide the championship. I think that race could have had it if Irwin had beaten Tommy in the last one, because that would have gone into the last race then of whoever beats who, where Tommy knew that if he just sat behind Glenn, he would win the championship. Where if, like I said, if Glenn had beaten him in that first race, it would have been, right, whoever beats who is going to win the championship. And then it would have got really spicy. But no doubt that last race was brilliant. Kyle rode really well again. He was sitting in between them. And you could definitely, Kyle wanted that second place. He wanted to win, obviously, but he wanted that second place. And he wanted to have a lunge at Tommy on that last lap, but unfortunately he didn't make it. And Tommy went on to win the championship by half a point. And if you look back, I think Glenn was talking about it. There was just little things that if he had just got that half a point, like the bike breaking down in the final race at Donington, just things like that. Tommy obviously carried on at Donington, even though he was having visor steam up problems. I also think he was having problems in the race that Ryan Vickers won at Brands earlier in the year in the wet, and I think he did actually score a point or something like that, which won him the championship effectively in the end. So it was all fine, tiny margins over the whole season. Obviously, we had the controversy with each of them taking each other out. We had the pace car incident. So the whole season's had absolutely everything. So, yeah, as the season goes, it's been absolutely brilliant. And I think Paul Bird would be really proud with both riders, how the last round went, Brands Hatch, that they shook hands. And I think Tommy said it brought the best and the worst out of him this season. So, yeah, it finished off really nicely.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, yeah, maybe Glenn might be thinking, if only my quali was a bit better and my race won, maybe. So I can understand maybe he might be having those sorts of thoughts, and it's only maybe natural. I don't know. I've never been in a title race with anything. But yeah, I mean, if Glenn did have a better race won, then he might have been in the...
That's what would have put the cherry on the top for that last race, because, like I said, going into that last race, it would have been who beats who, that's who wins the championship. But Tommy rode a really sensible 2 races on Sunday where he knew he had to finish behind Glenn, and he did it in both. He left it to the last minute on that 3rd race, leaving it to the last lap. But yeah, he did what he had to do. So you can't moan at him at that. He did a brilliant job. And both of them deserve to win the championship. I think Glenn had more wins and he had led more laps over the whole season. But yeah, Tommy effectively had more points at the end of the year, so that means he deserved to win the championship. Well, when we say points, half a point.
Well, yeah, less than 1 point. So same question for you, Lewis, then. With everything that's happened over all of the rounds, Silverstone, Alton, Snetterton, Donington, Brands, Knockhill, Thruxton, everything, everywhere. And it came down to the last race, basically pretty much a last lap, last race battle. And the title was decided by less than 1 point. Was this the best BSB season ever?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I do agree with Jay that certainly the last race of the year in 2011 was definitely the better race, just because it was the championship rivals whoever finished in front of each other won it. And well, this final round, you almost had to do the maths every single time a pass was made. So half a point.
It was exhausting.
And actually,
it was exhausting.
Yeah, it was. I think the championship changed something like 9 times or something over that last race. It was something crazy like that. So, and of course, the half a point as well stems all the way back to the first time we went to Brands Hatch in July in race 1. So, yeah, who knows? Without us having that half a point race, what would have happened to the championship? How would it have looked as well? It's one of those years, really, which you're going to look back on it, both Bridewell and Irwin. I mean, you can say it for both of them, even Haslam and Wright. It's one of those things where you can say, if this didn't happen, if that didn't happen, if it did this, if it did that instead, then the outcome could have been completely different. But in reality, like Jay was saying, Bridewell had the issues with his visors. Glenn Irwin, for example, he had the issue with his bike breaking down the race 3 at Donington, and as well as teammate taking him out. So, yeah, it's one of those seasons. 2 teammates battling for the championship. It was extremely dramatic. It was great to see them, as you already said, shake hands after the race had finished. But, yeah, I would probably say, as a season overall, that it was the best season I've watched anyway of BSB ever. I mean, yeah, what a year it's been. It's one of those years, like we seen at Brands Hatch, how packed were those crowds? I mean, there was 4 or 5 rows deep of people at the top of Paddock Hill. That's exactly what you want to see. So, yeah, awesome stuff from BSB. And actually, I think most people are in agreement that the new point system has certainly worked.
Yeah, I think that was better than the showdown system, personally. I think that it was, you just get as many riders at the end of the season that can still potentially win the championship. But you feel like that where in the showdown, you kind of felt like some people they really deserve to win that. There was a few seasons where, because they've had a brilliant last 3 rounds, they've gone on to win the championship. Where this, you felt that that Tommy and Glenn were the best 2 riders all season, and they deserve to go down to that last race to win the championship. So, yeah.
Well, because we're live.
Not like the Jason O'Haller and Taron year where Jason had that brilliant season and then didn't win the championship. So, yeah. I like this system, and hopefully this system will be here to stay for the near future.
Well, okay, yes, it worked this year, but it might produce completely different results next year, and we might all be slagging it off next year, going, "Oh, why did we ever go back? We should go back to the original showdown, the original first version of the, the first. Let's just
go racing, shall we? So anyway,
well, it clearly worked because all the massive crowd that there,
but that was more down to luck, though. I think, really, rather than some sort of grand scheme. Because those two were sort of running away with it mid-season, and everyone was looking like, yeah, this is definitely just going to be them, and it's going to be a terrible final couple. I mean, there's going to be almost no sort of showdown to talk of, really, if it just carries on the way it did. But it didn't. And, we know what happened. And luckily, by a unique set of circumstances, it all came together for us at the last round, and it was won by half a point. Anyway, right, so I am keen to read out your comments in the comments box below if you're tuned in live. Not everyone's watching the football tonight. Hello to Charlie Nesbitt, tuned in. And he's apparently going to be... he just said pit bike, which might have been responding to something that...
no, that's what he calls me. He just calls me pit bike.
Oh, right, okay.
Whenever he sees me, he just goes, all right, pit bike. So that would be something to do with me.
Well, anyway, hello. Anyway, Charlie. Hopefully he didn't tune in exactly the point where we were saying about the Max Cup thing.
Let's get him on, Charlie. Come on the show next week. We'll get him on.
Come on now. You're not doing anything. You sat watching it if they're listening to it or whatever.
I'll get in contact with him the week. We'll get him on next week.
Well, okay, fair enough. So yeah, and someone else has also been in touch as well on the Motorsport Radio page as well. Tune in live, subscribe, like, share, and all that sort of stuff. And who said, there's a couple of comments on here actually. Hello to Harry Cook as well. We'll get on to talking about him a bit later. He's selling his bike, didn't work out for him this year, unfortunately. And he's decided to go with a big team for next year, and he's getting rid of his bike, yada yada. Just like a lot of people. Luke Walters been on. Hello, Luke. And he said that Bridewell deserved it, but not at Donington when he took Glenn out. Oh, right, okay. It was a good season for a lot of riders this year in BSB. And yeah, I think I agree as well, because I think apart from one team who published a post and deleted it today in the support class, I think everyone just ended the season on a high. Not that way. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't in the paddock at the weekend, so I don't know.
If I think back, I think pretty much every team in BSB had their up at some point in the season, if you know what I mean. All the way down the grid, all the teams had some point. They had probably a best result or just a good achievement. I think Luke Mossey's team, it was good to see them on the podium at Donington. Lewis Vallely got a top 10 for the CDH team at Donington. So all the way down the grid, at some point, it's been just a really good season. All teams have their up and downs, but at some point, all the teams have had something to cheer for this season. Also, Ryan Vickers, after many years of trying, got his first victories as well.
Long overdue, I must say.
But. Yeah, but it was good to see. So, I think at some point, everyone has had a smile on their face, and you don't always get that in a season. So
exactly. Yeah. And a big shout out as well to Josh Owens, who was published a video today
of him actually. Yeah, I saw that
leaving the hospital or
good to see.
Making a bid for freedom in his wheelchair. So that's literally all it was, like a 5-second clip of him presumably leaving. He was smiling or grimacing with the drugs, whichever, but it's always nice to see him anyway. After his incident the other week at Stars
of Darley.
Yeah, that's a nice story to report on the Tuesday. If you've not seen it, I'll probably reshare it on Motorsport Radio page or in the BSB Fans and Sport Classes Facebook group as well. Christopher Van Wyck, I hope I've got your name right, Chris. He says that Glenn was a machine. Kyle wasn't going through up the inside of Tommy. I think he's referring to the Brands Hatch race. As he imagined if he took Sorry, Chris, I completely butchered your message, but I think we get the gist of it.
I think Kyle did say in his pre-race or post-race interview that he could have gone for the lunge, but there's no way he was going to do a 50-50 move on what that meant. So fair play, Kyle. He wasn't going to do anything ridiculously daft to wreck someone's championship, shall we say. So even if he had come
must have been tempted to. I mean, you can see it right there. I mean, you can see the win, he'd be just like, he might just think...
Well, it wouldn't have been for the win, it would have been for...
Yeah.
Well, whatever it was.
Could you imagine uproar if Kyle had taken out Tommy Bridewell?
I can imagine that.
Yeah. That was probably in the back of his head. I mean, imagine taking out a championship contender, although Kyle himself was one, but still one of the main championship contenders on the final season of the year. I mean, the fans would have went mental, but I mean...
He wouldn't have been very popular.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been. And of course, he ran wide at Druids the first time, and then he ran wide at Druids a couple laps later the second time, and that's when it was totally over. I had somewhat hope that he could have potentially caught up, but... no, that second time running wide was definitely it. But in race one, actually, I believe it was he had the pace, and that was because in FP3 he made the tyre choice gamble, and it was very similar conditions. So whenever it came to race one, he just used the exact same setup and the exact same tyre combination as what he used in FP3, and it just clicked once again. So yeah, showing once again going out in mixed, tricky conditions in a session that means nothing, could come in quite costly as the weekend progresses. So yeah, great seeing Kyle. And well, next year he's going to be looking on to next year and looking to win the championship. It'd be tough to think.
With that team being the, shall we say, factory Yamaha team, you've got to hope that he's going to be looking to be one of the favourites to win the championship next year, especially with how he's ended this season as well. So, we'll see how he gets on.
Yeah, is Ryan definitely confirmed for that team next year? Because I think in race 2 or race 3 with on the grid, an interview with Whittam.
I'll be back in 2 seconds. I haven't plugged my laptop in. It's run out of charge.
Oh.
Prepared.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no. What's going on with Ryan Vickers for next year? Do we know? Is he confirmed?
I believe Ryan Vickers is confirmed for next season because if I remember right, the way the OMG guys work is they start off with a 2-year deal.
Ways.
They start off with a 2-year deal contract with the riders anyway. They start off a 2-year deal contract and then they get a 1-year extension beyond that point. So I believe both of them are staying with the team for next season. So
you would have thought Ryan Vickers has done.
Yeah, well, Ryan Vickers, it's his first year in the team, so I believe he signed a 2-year contract, or signed an agreement to stay with the team for 2 years anyway. So hopefully they see that out.
It'd be nice to see him battling for a championship.
Yeah,
but with whom? I mean, who is going to challenge? Presumably, the PBM team is going to be different next year.
It's not confirmed that either of them are staying yet. So
it's not confirmed that they're staying. But Jordan Bird did confirm that the team is planning on continuing.
You know who I'd like to see
chasing the racing
in that team? If admittedly, I haven't really been paying attention to rider signings and stuff with all the other stories that have been going on. But what's Ben Curry doing next year?
No, we've not heard anything there. And we've also not heard that Christian Idden is staying at Oxford Products yet. So we've also got Lee Jackson as well. He's obviously got the boot from Kawasaki. He's a good rider and definitely deserves a spot in BSB. So there's a few riders at the moment who haven't got jobs who we'll probably find out tomorrow, won't we? Because that's usually what happens straight after our show. There'll be some big news come out tomorrow. But
yeah, definitely.
We'll find out who Repsol Honda are signing tomorrow probably as well. So
I heard they're talking to a certain Fab Racing pit bike rider that was spotted recently at the British Grand Prix.
They'll just take anything nowadays.
With Mark Marquez. Yeah, I think they probably will actually. But
I can probably imagine, with the PBM team anyway, that they'll probably want to keep the pair that they've got. Because why not? It was a pretty good season.
Yeah, it was a 1-2 in the championship.
Yeah.
By half a point.
But if for whatever reason, they can't, then I would like to see, personally, Ben Curry get another shot at BSB. Now, he might already have something in his top pocket with someone else.
He might get that upgrade to the Oxford team to go to their Superbike team. You don't know. So we don't know if Christian Idden is staying there yet. He's had a good season, but he's not had a great season. So we don't know if he'll be staying another season.
Do you reckon there's a chance that Oxford, if they did want to get Ben Curry back on and give Christian Idden another season, is there a chance maybe, do you think they would think about running 2 BSB bikes?
Yeah, maybe. Obviously, we all know that running a Ducati is extremely expensive, but we don't know if their budget can stretch to a second bike. But at the end of the day, they've kind of ran 2 bikes this season.
Yeah.
I don't know what the difference is. It couldn't have been cheap running that Super Sport Ducati because... running any super sport bike is not cheap, but especially running the super sport Ducati is really not going to be cheap. If they can stretch to another super bike, you never know. If they can bring maybe some more sponsors on board that can help and facilitate that would be great to see. But yeah, you never know. Obviously, we've got Lee Jackson. Where is he going to go next season?
What about
team,
the
Honda team are either Andrew or Tim Neve.
Tom.
Yes, Tim, isn't it?
Tom.
Tim's the old
one.
McCann's rider. Yeah, is Tom going to stay at Honda? So we've got 2 Honda seats that might be available as well.
Well, what about, apparently, according to the internet, Shane Byrne's going to be running world-class riders in BSB. Mark Marquez is going to be running Brad Ray, of course. And Mo Racing has been on and asked, well, is there any actual truth to the rumour? So, Jay, I mean, you were down on, I suppose, Brands Hatch, or doing whatever you do, getting yourself on the grid and being a...
Oh, no, I didn't. I was a proper... This weekend, I didn't even go in the centre paddock. I was a proper tourist this weekend. I literally just sat and watched the racing. I went and said, because the only rider I really spoke to... Harvey Claridge had a really good GP2 race on the Saturday race.
He won?
He won, and I think he came 8th overall, which is far and away his best result. So I went and congratulated him. But that's the only rider I really spoke to all weekend, really.
So back to silly season then, or is it? Is Shaky Byrne going to dip his toe in the ring with... a bit of team ownership? I mean, there is a BSB team as potentially a going concern, the McCann's team. So there's a kind of a whole outfit ready to go if someone wants to just invest in it and rebrand it, rebadge it. Yeah,
they've got the best hospitality in the paddock, so it would be, you're buying the best bits, if you know what I mean. So.
It would almost be like when Michael Laverty basically bought everything over from Petronas and Moto3, basically just a team rebranding. But yeah, the rumour all started, I believe, on World Superbike commentary for Eurosport, where they rumoured Shane Byrne running his own
Greg
team next
Haynes
season with Brad Ray on Yamahas. But I don't know how true the rumour is. All I've actually heard was A, social media, what they said on Facebook, and B, that World Superbike commentary clip. Apart from that, there's been nothing else said about it.
Okay, well, yeah, whatever. It'd be interesting anyway, but it's mostly just rubbish, I think.
This is where tomorrow it gets in.
Yeah, tomorrow, 9 a.m., just as I'm editing, the bits from this show, and then something will happen in the world, and just to basically just make all of this show completely moot.
Irrelevant.
And totally irrelevant. But
I'm sure if we moved this show to Wednesday, then everyone would decide to bring it out on Thursday. So we're never going to be able to win, are we?
Well, we'd done this show on a Tuesday. We did used to do it on a Wednesday. and we've done it on a Thursday, and yeah. But I think Wednesday's probably the best anyway. But Christopher Van Wyck has been back on. He says, hope Ryan Vickers, I think he is, hope he stays. And yeah, I think we've already said that. We think he probably is staying.
I think they'd be stupid to get rid of him with how he's ended the season. So
yeah. One thing that I mentioned earlier, I was trying to find the post that Harry Cook put up this morning, was it? Or was it yesterday?
No, I think it was yesterday.
Okay, yeah, well, I've not really slept since then anyway. Yeah, he basically, actually, just advertised his bike for sale and saying that, yeah, well, they gave it a good shot and a good go. It was just not working out for them, and it was turned out to be too much of a learning season for them, basically.
I think it was always going to be a hard ask with effectively a family team trying to run.
Well, that's what he said in the post.
Yeah, effectively trying to run a bike that no one else runs in BSB, and you're not just learning yourself. Like there's no one else you can go ask for help, is there? I mean, you're on your own here. So
even their data guy that was helping them with the bike on the software that the MV Agusta uses, he was based in Italy for every single race weekend, so he couldn't really do that much. He only had limited what he could do. So I mean, yeah, MV Agusta is always going to be difficult to do, and yeah, it cost them, well, he said actually on Facebook it cost them 35 grand to build it, which is a hefty whack, and now he's going to have to sell it all up, and well, now he's looking to go to an actual team at least to go and race next year. But it's always tricky running a dad and his lad really effectively in the super sport team.
It's hard it's hard doing it on your own at BSB level.
Yeah.
Even if you're on an R6 or a Kawasaki, there's quite a few
even
people
in Talent Cup.
When you're using a bike that no one else has got, I can imagine the headache it must give you must be horrendous.
Yeah, there's been a few outfits in the R&G British Talent Cup this year, and looking back at the end of the season, some parents have expressed, well, yeah, we shouldn't have done this. We should have just put, my kid in a team, just paid for them to, this is just, it was just not what I thought it would be. I thought I could come in here, just do the spanners and send him out, and he'd sort it out himself on the track and stuff.
You wouldn't believe how much you have to pay money for it, but how much easier it is just being in a team gazebo or awning or setup, and having someone there who just has got so much experience, and just with just the schedule of the weekend and things like that, who you can just rely on, who's going to get you on grid at the perfect time, take your tyre warmers off at the perfect time, not just knowing the ins and outs of the bike that you're riding, just all those little things. It's priceless what people like that can do. When you're doing it on your own, it is really hard work. I've been on both sides, not myself, never made it that high level, but I have seen it from the outside when you're in a team and when you're not in a team and trying to do it on your own, and it is really hard work. So yeah, I can understand why he wants to do it. And also another thing to Harry Cook, he unfortunately got his pedal bike nicked at the weekend. It is quite traditional at Brands Hatch for things to get nicked. I don't know what the security actually do at Brands Hatch, but clearly they do nothing, because every year either someone's moped gets nicked, or this year it was Harry's pedal bike. So it's Brands security is not great. When you do go to Brands, just make sure you pin everything down, because they will take it if not.
I'm reluctant to say anything negative about the amazing organisation put on by MSVR at MSV Circuits. But you do raise a point which keeps on happening every single year, Jay, and everyone knows about it, specifically at Brands. I'm probably just going to chalk it up to the fact that it's more nearer London than anywhere decent.
And I maybe shouldn't say this on air, but
London's full of criminals.
I have snuck into Brands many a time without passes, extremely easily. And even when I went this year, I was legit this year. I did have passes, but you can just see how easy it is to get in.
My name is Jay King. There you go.
Just shows his YouTube channel.
Yeah, don't you know who I am?
I won't I won't tell you the gates that you can get in very easily at Brands, but it's
the
not
main
great.
entrance.
It's not great, the security at Brands, and as we see every year, things are always getting nicked at Brands Hatch.
From the media centre as well. That's probably the dodgiest. I don't know how these things happen, but
if you look on YouTube, Lewis may have seen this. It was a car racing event, and someone managed to get their normal everyday polo onto the racetrack in the middle of a race.
That's a famous incident. That was.
God no, come on, Brands. Like, you need to sort your security out.
I'm going to chalk that one up to the fact that Brands Hatch is basically kind of London, and London's full of dodgy people, and it's. I mean. That's why no one goes to London. And if you're in London, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to say, not the fault of MSVR or RMSV.
Fault of London.
Yeah, it's just that it just happens to be right near a dodgy, big place called London, which is full of old criminals.
I didn't get robbed this weekend because I took meal deals, so I didn't have to buy any food at the track this weekend.
Shall we move on? Before we slander anyone, to some of what are we talking about next, Lewis? Anyway, more BSB stuff.
Support classes or the 2024 calendar, whatever.
Let's support classes while we're still
support
on.
class. Let's stay at Brands Hatch, and so
Dan Linfoot won fairly the Stock 1000 Championship. Let's talk about that.
Yes, he did, and it was won fairly and squarely.
Even though he did decide, because he weren't sure if he saw the checkered flag or not, he did an extra lap at the end of the race. He didn't want to do a
bit of extra TV time.
Finished the lap ahead of everyone.
Yeah,
it's the sort of thing you'd do, Jay, to be honest, just to get a bit of extra attention for the cameras.
Yeah. Well, maybe if I did an extra lap, I might actually win a race. So, good on Dan Linfoot and the team as well. Yeah, he's been, shall we say, a bit down in the doldrums the last few years in BSB, Dan Linfoot. So it was, I think he kind of said it in his interview, it was great to be back up the front and enjoying his riding again. So
he's got his enthusiasm back, hasn't he?
I wouldn't say a dominant year he's had, but he's won loads of races and he's looked very comfortable on his Honda. And congratulations on him winning the championship.
Yeah. Thoughts on Dan Linfoot, Lewis?
Yeah, it was great to see them on the top step of the podium once again in the final race of the year, then do the final lap, and then wrapping up the championship from Richard Kerr. So 36 points was the gap between them after the title, but going into the final race of the year, I think it was 31 points. So really, Dan Linfoot needed a disaster for Richard Kerr to take the title. So Dan Linfoot's had a incredibly consistent season. I mean, what a year it's been from him. The only non-finish of the year was in the wet race at Brands Hatch, the first time we went there in July. So, very impressive from Dan Linfoot, and great to see them. And he is, well, it sounded like anyway, in his championship interview that he's looking towards a BSB rider, hoping that a BSB team sees him for next year. So, very good. And then, of course, the season finished in the Superstock class. We all thought it was over, and looking on social media earlier today, it appeared it wasn't totally over. The dust hadn't totally settled yet.
I don't know what you're referring to, but anyway, one of the teams got a bit too paranoid, it might seem. I don't want to do not mention any names because the post has been deleted. Basically, this is the thing that I mentioned at the start of the show, that if you've seen it, then you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't seen it, I don't want you to know what we're talking about. But one of the teams who didn't win the championship suggested maybe they should have won the championship. Basically, at this time of the year, if you're not winning, that means whoever is winning is cheating, basically. Everyone's accusing everyone of cheating. Oh, so-and-so's in the lead. It must be cheating. And... But anyway, just the way that it was accused,
swiftly deleted,
and swiftly deleted as well. They probably saw sense and realised that actually, if there was any
senior technical officials who had any knowledge of anything, then why would they report it not to race direction and get the bike excluded? Why would they come running to the team, the opposing team, and report it to them? Doesn't make any sense. So I'm guessing they probably realised that's ludicrous and doesn't make any sense, and they deleted the post anyway. But yeah, Dan Linfoot chimed in on that post as well at the time, adding something along the lines of LOL, or he's just creasing at just reading the comments and some such. But anyway, that's over and done with because the post is deleted now. And nobody saw it.
Except from the hundreds of screenshots that have been taken.
Not on our BSB Fans and Sport Class Facebook group. Definitely not. We'll leave that to all the other accusatory BSB groups that are out there. An interesting, just moving away from that slightly, something that's popped up on my feed. Going to the bike, Moto2 bike has apparently come up for sale, if you're interested. The 2022 Kalex Moto2 bike used by Vietti last year is up for sale. The actual race bike, apparently. Is this
been
true?
crashed quite a lot.
Is it not just a show bike?
It's still uncertain if there will be a GP2 class next year, because it could be a very expensive bike if they don't decide to run the class.
I'll try and find some pictures of it and stick them on as well. I just noticed that was about an hour ago since we've been on air. There was apparently someone selling an actual Moto2 bike, actually raced and used last year. So, interesting. Are you going to buy it, Jay?
Sure,
doesn't say the price, though.
Be a nice track day bike, but no, I think...
Stick that on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, it would make
It would get the views.
Get some good content for the YouTube channel. But I think I'm going to have to be making a bit more money off the YouTube channel before I start buying that.
Yeah, I mean, you're up to what, 200 subscribers now, aren't you?
Yeah, 200 now, yeah. We're doing all right.
Mr. Big! Over on...
It's basically KSI then me.
Yeah. My thoughts.
I bet he made a lot more money out of that stupid boxing match than I do out of my YouTube channel. We're going off topic.
Anyway,
here. Right,
stop dragging me off topic. What were we talking about? Staying with BSB.
Let's go stock 600s now.
Yes, okay, yeah. Go on then, Lewis.
So Stock 600s at the weekend went down to the final race of the year between Owen Jenner, who was leading the championship going into the final round, and Cameron Dawson on the Kawasaki, who was, he basically needed Owen Jenner to finish, I think it was below 10th, and Cam Dawson had to win it. And then in the end, in the finish up, Owen Jenner ended up wrapping up the title and taking the championship in the final race of the year, after Cam Dawson didn't finish the race in first of all, and Owen Jenner, I think he finished 7th or something along that line. So yeah, Owen Jenner taking the championship, great to see, just after a couple of years anyway since he won the Junior Supersport Championship. I think that was the 2020 COVID affected year, so been in that class for a wee while, and now he'll be the last ever Junior Superstock champion. So yeah, Owen Jenner, he'll be pleased about that one. Yet to announce anything or hint at anything for next season, at what championship he's planning on going into, whether that be the Sportbike Championship or the Supersport Championship. So yeah, it's one of those conundrums, but he is a champion, so hopefully we can see him get a ride for next season and the top team in a in a different class. It's going to have to be.
Yeah, good season in that championship. Jay, did you enjoy watching it?
It was probably the class I watched least this season, but I was keeping an eye on some of the old Fab riders, Harrison Crosby especially.
Oh yes, he had a good season.
He had some good performances, especially towards the end of the season. So, it'd be interesting to see where he goes next year. He's probably one of the biggest casualties of this new BSB format and classes, because obviously he'd done 1 year in Stock 600, would be really looking forward to doing a second season and obviously fighting for the title next season. And unfortunately, the class is gone. So, I know Harrison's got a massive decision on what he's going to do next year, because obviously he's got to move class again after British Talent Cup, Stock 600s, and now he's obviously got to find somewhere else to go. So the people who are gone in for their first year in either the Supersport or the Stock 600s, they really landed it wrong, because they've got to change class again. So.
I feel sorry for Ted Wilkinson as well, because he
moved over halfway through.
Yeah, well, I think he did one round of British Talent Cup and then moved over. I don't know at what point they purchased a bike, if they did purchase a bike. I'm presuming they did. And then to have the news dumped on them
there was a lot of the Supersport 300s up for sale in the paddock at the weekend, and they're not shifting very quickly.
No, well,
not everyone's shifting the prices down on them.
No,
just
I
yet.
spoke to Finn, because obviously he rode in the Stock 600s this weekend, and obviously he was there for the end of year picture on his 400.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I said to his dad, "What are you going to do with this bike?" I said I had some of those McDonald's vouchers, and I said, "Look, I can give you some of them for the bike if you want." He said, "That's the best offer I've had so far." But they said they're just going to keep it as an ornament, because they said they can't sell it. It's not worth us selling it for a couple of grand. We might as well keep it for the memories. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people in those positions.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do, then keep hold of it. But some people need the money from selling the bikes, and they're probably not going to get it. Or what?
100 quid's 100 quid, isn't it?
I mean, I remember seeing that post going back to Harry Cook again. I think he was asking like 25 grand for that bike.
Yeah.
And you're going to be whoever's going to buy that bike, as like they were, you got to be a brave person.
Yeah. And even for Harry, that bike's, a 10 grand loss on what it cost to build it, not including what it costs to race and crash damage and engines for the whole season. So, yeah, bike racing doesn't make you money, really, majority of the time, unless if you're top of the top anyway.
The best thing to do with all these 400 Supersport bikes is hopefully they kept all the lights and the road fairings, put them back on the road and say, one careful lady owner. I think that'd be the best way to do it, wouldn't it? That'll work, won't it, Lester?
Don't get me involved. I'm not saying anything. I'm trying to avoid any controversy this evening, which is unlike me, I know, but I might as well just end the season on a high. Overall, great, fantastic win for Owen Jenner. It was great to see the images come in, and he won by, overall, in the end, just 23 points. Or did he?
That's quite a big margin.
No, that wasn't. You know what?
It was 23 points going into the final race of the year.
They haven't updated. TSL haven't updated the thing, have they?
They went on holiday early.
Oh, the bastards! Hold on, I've just downloaded the PDF. I mean, TSL do. Sam at TSL does. But anyway, yeah. So. Anyway, we know Owen Jenner won. Congratulations. It was great to see him celebrating at the weekend with his traditional trademark smile. I wonder if he probably should trademark that, actually. I'll message him and see what he is actually doing next year. If he doesn't know, he doesn't know.
Get him on the show for next weekend. Next week, sorry.
Maybe. I don't know. He might be out testing a BSB bike or something like that. Who knows?
He's been... hanging about in the PBM garage, actually. I've seen quite a lot.
I did see that in the background. Thinking, what's he up to?
As well, he had, I think, Jordan Bird as his Brawley Dolly, basically, for one of the races, or a couple of the races this year as well.
Maybe they're going to have a Supersport team next season. You never know.
Well, if there's customers, why say no? And... Yeah.
It wouldn't be the first time. It was a long time ago, but they did run Stuart Easton when it was the Monster Mob days in Supersport on HK, so you never know. Could happen again.
Yeah, perhaps the team, PBM, as a company, as a team, might need to diversify and just say yes to,
In the podcast, Jordan, that's her name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. So she did say she was very... I was surprised how, she's jumping straight into Paul's shoes straight away, and that's not in a disrespect. She kind of just says, I just want to carry on the team and keep it going.
Well,
and
that's probably their urge to naturally carry on, won't it? So.
Yeah. She kind of said that she does want to put her own mark on it. So you never know. Maybe there will be a Paul Bird Supersport team next season.
Who knows? And maybe Owen Jenner might be on it. I did actually see the bit you mentioned. He was hanging around in the garage. Maybe he was just hanging around in the garage waiting to be kicked out. But he was there. And people like me, if you see a rider hanging around in a garage or, outside an awning and they're not usually, they've got no obvious associate. I don't know, maybe he's just good friends with someone there, but I don't know. My journalist paranoid brain kicks into action and thinks, what are you doing there, end of the season? What deal are you cooking up? But maybe nothing, maybe something. Who knows? What else have we got to talk about in BSB?
F900s, Richard Cooper, the biggest surprise of the weekend, won the championship.
No one saw that coming.
Yeah, dramatic end to the year. 3.5 seconds separating Richard Cooper and Thomas Strudwick in a dramatic last lap battle, with the rest of the field 10 seconds plus behind.
A shout out to
Troy
Mason.
Corser as well was racing
Troy
this weekend
Corser
as well.
Yeah, he did all right.
A shout out to Fab rider Mason Johnson, though. He did get his first
podium.
Main race podium, and that did get him third in the championship. So well done to former Fab rider Mason Johnson. So
former Fab and former British Talent Cup rider as well. A lot of since 2016, since it was like Cool Fab anyway, a lot of people, it's almost like a generation of those young riders are pretty much, they're getting to the top now of BSB, and you've got the Josh Watley and Scott Ogdens, and
they're all coming.
Yeah. So just saying, once again, kids, if you want to start your motorcycle racing career, there's only one place that's produced the most champions and world-class riders and commentators and media crew. And you get live streaming and TV coverage. And that's Fab Racing. Just saying. fab-racing.co.uk. Check it out.
Right. I think that's the F900s covered. I think.
I don't know. We ended up promoting
actually,
Fab from the end of it.
with the F900s, question for both of you.
Yeah.
With it being the first season of the F900s, how do you rate the class after its first season?
You go first.
I absolutely love it.
Replacing the Ducatis, of course.
I love it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I'm saying that because I'd really like to do it next season. I'm hoping someone will give me a free bike.
I thought so.
I think it's been absolute. I like. It's a bit of a diverse class where like all the other bikes are just like your generic like super sport, Superbike. They're a bit different, aren't they? So I do like that sense of it. If you took Thomas Strudwick has pretty much come second every week behind Richard. What I don't understand is how has Richard, the points must be really tight in that championship, because how has it gone all the way to the last round and Strudwick could still win the championship?
It ended that 31 points separated Cooper and Strudwick after the last round.
If you win the race, you must only score a point more than second.
If finished second, you get 22 points, so 3 points more you get for winning.
And when they've come first and second all season, I suppose, because imagine if Richard Cooper had broke down on the last lap, Strudwick would have bloody won the championship by winning one race all season, even though Richard Cooper would have won all the rest. But I think Richard Cooper, fair play, he's won every race. He is a class act rider. He's walked away with a lot of money and a brand new BMW motorbike, because that's what you got for winning the championship. So he's definitely had a good payday out of it, and that's not if Feiho isn't paying him to be in that team as well. So
I think we might see him back in. Yeah, I think he was asked in the interview afterwards that will we see him back in BSB, or Feiho was asked. And she said, I've got some surprises, I'm not telling you anything, which means yes to me, because, if they don't say no straight away, then it means yes, obviously. Subject to negotiations.
Well, I don't know. Are they going to? I know Peter Hickman's confirmed for next season. I don't know if Josh.
Yeah, they both are.
So that must mean maybe they're setting up a stock 1,000 team.
They have run free bikes before when Brian McCormick was riding in BSB a couple of years back.
So
potentially again.
They're not short of money, that team, are they? So yeah, maybe there'll be a third bike.
To
or
add
Richard
to their,
Cooper be on a stock bike, we don't know.
Yeah, and that was, in fact, the team's first championship success. So, yeah, that was pointed out, which I found surprising, to be honest. I thought their first success would have come at BSB level, or somewhere else. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm still waiting actually for BMW to announce that they've been listening to this show and they are adopting the ideas which we came up with, mostly you two, suggested, in that for next season, only people who have not raced in BSB or the top levels of motorcycle racing in the UK or around the world, only the people who have not done those competitions in the past couple of years are eligible. I think we agreed it would be a tiny bit fair on everyone else.
Yeah. It would always be like a feeder series for older, or not necessarily older, but riders who have went through club racing instead of straight away going to BSB when you're 16, 15 year old. So yeah, that would be a better idea. Or certainly the top whatever in the championship need to move to a different class after that season, rather than potentially, if they don't change the rules, Richard Cooper, if he wanted, he could just stay in the class and win 9 races every single season until someone comes along that could potentially challenge him, because this year he's been, he's been a dominant force, to say the least.
Yeah.
And he has made racing it's a bit stale to watch. Whenever you watch the race and already know who's going to win it, unless it's something catastrophic happens to him. So yeah, hopefully we can see some better battles at the front next year in the BMW class.
Yeah, totally not his fault though. I mean, the championship was there for the taking, and well, he took it.
It'd be stupid not to do it, wouldn't he? When you think, like
anyone would.
Yeah,
he's won a fair chunk of money out of it, and like I said, he's probably not going to keep that BMW that he's just won either. He's probably going to sell that and make a few grand out of it as well. So, yeah. I don't know, he might have it for his training bike this winter. You don't know, do you?
Use it as a clothes horse or something.
Right, let's go to Super Sport now, even though that championship was wrapped up.
Well, yeah, it was, but more races at the weekend. And what did we think, Lewis?
And Super Sport at the weekend, first of all, in race 1, Richard Cooper was on the top step of the podium in that one. We've just finished talking about him. He's already winning in another class. That was, of course, with the BPE Yamaha team that he races with on the roads. Tom Bufemos finished in second, doing 2 classes well this weekend in BSB and Super Stock, with Tom Taparis as well trying to claim 3rd place in the championship. He finished 3rd in race 1. Quite a few crashers, 7 crashers actually in race 1. Casey O'Gorman was back racing once again with the OMG racing team. He finished down in 13th position after having to do a late wheel change on the grid, which kind of messed up his whole entire race. Casey O'Gorman back this weekend, and Casey O'Gorman got taken out essentially in race 2 when Jamie Perrin, Reece Irwin's teammate, crashed in front of him on the Suzuki, and Casey O'Gorman had nowhere to go and hit the deck as well, and that was only on lap 1. And then race 2 actually in the Super Sport class, watching it live or watching it on catchback, it was a complete crash fest. I mean, there was over 10 crashes in race 2, and 2 of them actually being Richard Cooper and Ben Curry. So Ben Curry was in the lead of the race. I think it was 3.5 seconds gap or something along that lines he had. He had quite a comfortable gap anyway, and he threw it to the deck and allowed Tom Bufemos to win from Luke Jones and Eugene McManus. So a completely different podium compared to what would be expected. Reece Irwin also had a crash. Harry Cook also had a crash. Zach Corridor also had a crash. Tom Taparis as well. He threw away third place in the championship as well. So plenty of crashing in race 2 of the Supersport class. Highly dramatic. And 2 different race winners with Tom Buffet-Moss on the top step in race 2 and Richard Cooper in race 1. So yeah, really entertaining weekend, even though the championship had already been wrapped up.
Always bound to happen, I suppose. Like you say, when things have already been wrapped up, Jay, then it's kind of just all out mayhem.
War.
Yeah, because, you know.
Yeah, I think Ben Curry would have been a bit annoyed. I think he would have liked to have won the last race of the season, especially when you're 3 seconds ahead.
Oh, yeah.
But the conditions were, that time of the day, it was starting to get standing at the side of the track anyway. It was getting pretty cold. And yeah, he just tucked the front before going on to the back straight. So yeah, I suppose it was quite easy done. But yeah, Richard Cooper obviously did the same. So yeah, it wasn't just Ben Curry. Like I said, there was quite a few people. So yeah, it was probably down to the cold conditions. But yeah, it was Tom Booth Amos. He kind of said, at the end of the race, that was his last race for Gearlink, so he's clearly not riding for them next season. By the sounds of it, he has got something planned for next season. So, yeah, it was nice for him to win the final race for the Gearlink Kawasaki team.
Yeah, definitely. It's, do you have a moment of the season? I mean, for me, it was, I suppose, just when Ben Curry won the championship and his dream came true.
Yeah, he's been trying for a long while. He's had some pretty big injuries over the last few years, especially when he went to Superbikes. He also had a bit of a tough time when he went to World Supersport, didn't really go his way. So I'm pretty sure he's been through the mill. So yeah, it would have been a big relief to finally win a championship. Other standout moments, like I said, it was, even though he has raced in pretty much every championship this season, it was good to see Casey get on the podium at Donington a few weekends back as well. So probably my highlights of the season.
And for you, Lewis?
Yeah, for me it was probably Rhys Irwin claiming Suzuki's first win in Super Sport class for a long, long time on the 750 Suzuki at Knockhill. It would have been. So yeah, it was great to see Rhys Irwin claim the first race win, and as well at Knockhill, not a highlight, but obviously with Tom Famous as well, crashing at the top of the chicane and somehow making it back for Snetterton. What a busy year it's been for Tom Famous, both in British Supersport and in World Supersport. But yeah, for me, apart from obviously Ben Curry wrapping up the championship on the Ducati, which I believe actually Josh Day was saying to me at the weekend before at Fab that he should have been riding that Oxford product bike in the Supersport class. And right. Before he obviously had his injury crash, he was in talks with signing for that team to race with them. But yeah, Rhys Irwin getting Suzuki's first race win in a long time in the Supersport class for me.
Yeah, he just reminded me of something about Josh Day. He's officially retired now? Oh, he came back out of... He's getting thinking about retirement.
He raced at Castle Coombe because I saw him on him with Charlie Nesbitt, because Charlie always likes doing these, shall we say, the big club meetings, shall we say. He always does like doing them. Like he said, he won the Stars of Dali the other weekend. He won that Castle Coombe race, and
he's going to Sunflower as well.
Yes, and he'll probably do the end of year big race they have at Mallory Park. He always does that end of every year as well. So he always likes doing the big club events, does Charlie.
Yeah, the race of the year. Is that what that's called or something? Yeah.
He won that last year, so I expect to see him there again this year. When that team owns that track, you expect them to do quite well there.
Potential. I'm surprised that track's even still going, to be honest, with all the morons that live nearby trying to close it down.
Mallory's a lovely track.
Yeah, the track's nice. You just can't ever use it.
No.
It's useless.
Once in a blue moon.
It's a bit as well, a bit dangerous for a superbike as well. So,
well, mini bikes would be all right, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's go back. Fab ago. Let's go back with Fab again.
It was, well, Fab went there once. I
heard it was
7 years ago.
Ludicrously expensive.
I don't know. I don't book tracks, but they haven't been back.
No.
So, which is a shame because, like I said,
it was a good event.
It's a good event, good track, and maybe I'm just saying that and reminiscing from when I was a lot younger and everything was much better, and I was a lot slimmer. Anyway, sorry, don't know what I'm talking about. End of the season.
I think we're done the support classes now. We missed any?
Have we? Have we just skipped through everything? I don't know. We did the BMW sidecars as well. Big shout out to Luke Williams, who I think made his debut full-time season thing this year. Let me have a look here on the old thing. Luke Williams, originally, basically, sidecar race 1. Oh, there was 2 races. Sidecar, yeah. I think I only watched one of the races anyway. I think they crashed out, or what was it? Williams, no, they got the fastest lap. Where did they finish in race number 1? Oh, I don't even know. Anyway, but basically, Luke Williams. If you don't know about Luke Williams, he was originally a four-wheeled racer in cars, and he raced at Brands Hatch many times in the National Formula Ford 1600 Championship. He'd done the Formula Ford Festival at Brands Hatch, and I think he may have won it in the past, basically. So I've known Luke Williams for many, many years, and he suddenly just appeared at Bemsey on a sidecar. And I was looking at the results and thinking, is that the same Luke Williams? Was he just to have like some club level car racer jump on a sidecar, and not just some pretty high level club racing car racer jump on a sidecar, but for him to be competitive on it straight away
and claim a podium in race 2.
Yeah, and then quickly switch over to the British Championship, and I think he was doing something, well, according to Barry Nutley, his commentary, he was going to focus on like the European or World Championship for next season or something like that.
Yeah, it's either World or British, and they're not totally deciding what they're doing just yet, but of course a lot of the guys like Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement, and as well Kerr and Charlwood, they race both the British and the World Championship. And actually, Ellis and Clement, who took the British Championship this season in British sidecars, they are previous World Champions as well in sidecars as well. So, a lot of teams sometimes run 2, but it seems like Williams is thinking about already going to World.
Yeah, and sidecars is one of those that unfortunately at BSB, we don't get to see as much as we used to do, which is a bit of a shame because sidecars is always fun. Even mini F1 sidecars.
That was very fun.
Yeah, which we talked about on last week's show. And I've got news on mini F1 sidecars as well. A couple of new outfits joining Fab Racing on the sidecars for next season, I think. I'll try and get the new information up from my brain, which I may have forgotten about. But anyway, the British Championship anyway. How did that end? Have you got the points up there? It was good to see everyone on the grid doing the end of season photo, including the sidecar people. But as you say, yes, Ellis and Clement winning. Clement, Clement, whatever. Ellis and his and the mate. 37.5 points victory from Blackstock and
Lewis Blackstock and Rosney were in second, and John Holden and Lawrence were in third as well. Of course, as well, there's 3 sidecar classes, British-wise. So GP. Bill Bell and Carl Bell were racing in the Cup class as well on their Bell Racing Yamaha. They won the championship in that one. And the F2 Super Cup class, I should say, Atkinson and Middleton, they won the championship in that one at Brands Hatch with double points in store for the final round of the championship. So Phil Bell and Carl Bell, great to see them win the championship. They always try to make an appearance at the Scottish rounds as well. Great to see, and final points on offer as well for all classes, actually, all sidecar classes for the final weekend.
Exactly. And Jay, do you manage to watch any of the sidecars that are, for my money anyway, always entertaining whenever they're on the BSB grid?
No, unfortunately, they were one of the first out, and I was still in bed.
Oh.
Committed.
Wow. Okay, well, that's that then, I suppose, for sidecars. Yes. Oh, actually, talking about the a slight bit of fab racing news and sidecar news, mini F1 sidecar news. Anyway, I didn't realise that, and Jay, you'll probably recognise Scott Dootson was on the. I don't even know because we weren't even told about it at the weekend. Apparently, he was on a bike and he just turned up. I think Simon Clowes asked him over, and then he appeared. First I'd seen of it was your photo, like a week later, on the Fab Facebook page, and I'm like,
the podium pictures.
Yeah, I thought this guy was retired. Scott Dootson.
No, he made a one round comeback. So
yeah, previously he'd raced loads of different things over many years, and most recently, I think he was in a couple of years ago, senior mini motos and moto team. Anyway, basically, his dad he posted a request to purchase a mini F1 sidecar with a view to, I'm guessing, them both entering the sidecar class. And I did send him a message as soon as I found out a week later that he was in the Fab race at Three Sisters at Wigan on the final round, unbeknownst to us, Lewis, whether he'd had his spark reignited for racing.
He did enjoy it. He did. From what I saw, he definitely had a really good weekend and really enjoyed it. So maybe we might see more of him next season. In what class, we don't know yet.
It'd be good to see him on a sidecar. So another moto team race, Lewis, that you called absolutely incorrectly because you didn't know who was on the bike, and
people just turn up at the last minute.
Yeah, just turn up. And, well, luckily this year, though, we do have the team names rather than the rider names, so we can still call it correct, and we just have no clue who's actually riding it, because they change it every single weekend.
Basically, that adds to the fun.
People sharing teams as well. They go from one to another in between races.
Session by session.
Yeah.
What happens in people's caravans is nothing to do
All
with...
the keys in the pot.
Thank you. Anyway, back to what we were talking about, racing. Oh, yeah, that was it. So overall then, we did ask the question earlier, is the 2023 season of BSB, is it the best ever with everything taken into consideration? And we haven't yet talked about the emotional final element of Brands Hatch with Paul Bird on everyone's mind, of course, with his family on everyone's mind, with Jordan and the family stepping up to continue or want to continue with the team, and the two riders, Tommy and Glenn, just putting on a really good, top-level, clean race. 3 races overall at Brands Hatch to clinch the championship by only half a point, did Tommy. And yeah, that was another aspect of it, because as soon as we learned that we lost Paul Bird, I think a lot of people were thinking, oh God, yeah, I mean, this is going to be emotional. And it definitely was. It definitely was part of the weekend, I think. It's hard to know exactly what to say for fear of saying the wrong thing, but yeah, hasn't stopped me ever before. So yeah, that was, I think, just adding everything together, I think it was probably the most classic, memorable, iconic BSB season as a whole ever. Certainly that I can remember. But
it was the perfect send-off for Paul Bird. Yeah, a 1-2 in the championship, half a point separating them as well. I mean, yeah, what a better way to go off. I mean, although I think even Kyle Ride fans, I don't think they'll be upset with the PBM boys being 1-2 in the championship. It's the perfect send-off for him. And as well, hopefully continue next year, and then we can see a very similar season next year where it goes down to the final round. And yeah, what a great year for BSB it's been. It's kept the fans engaged, that's for sure. I mean, social media has gone wild over the past couple of months over BSB. And it's certainly getting a good amount of coverage. And also, it got coverage on the news at BBC.
No, impossible. We all know BSB never gets any coverage on the BBC. Apart from quite regularly, actually. But,
yeah. I think it was covered twice at the weekend on BBC, ahead to the final weekend of the year and after Tom and Bridewell wrapped up the championship. So plenty of coverage for BSB in the news. So you can't complain about that.
Yeah, it amuses me that one of the first things that some people on some of the other Facebook groups talk about is, this isn't, the BBC haven't covered any of this and you never see BSB on the BBC on the 6 o'clock news. Well, no. I think they're focusing on news. And secondly, you do actually see quite a bit of BSB on, if you're a fan, you'll regularly see a BBC or ITV local news reporter down at pretty much every single round. Thruxton was the last time I remember, or maybe Alton. Yeah, pretty much every single round, Donington. So it does get reported on regularly. And all you have to do is Google it. Because all the videos are there, all the articles are there. It's funny because you get the same accusation from the same sorts of people who make those kind of accusations about the press saying, BSB is never covered and the government should do more and all that shite. They clearly just haven't done a Google search, have they? Because if you just type in, even on the BBC website, on the news website, British Superbikes, article, video, it's all there. But it was good to see, nonetheless. Even more coverage. So, yeah. Are you one of those people, Jay, who reckons that BSB should be...
It'd be nice to see... I like all the work that Eurosport do, or if it's on Discovery or Quest or whatever channel it's on, Leicester.
I ignore all of the live coverage, but because it's not on the BBC News at 10, lead story, that means nobody's covering it.
To be fair, even if I think even if Jake Dixon won at Silverstone in MotoGP, I still think it'd be hit and miss if it actually made it onto the 10 o'clock news as well. So yeah, you can't expect to be seeing BSB results on the 10 o'clock news. So but it would be nice to see maybe even to BBC, no, I think ITV do a highlight show of BSB, don't they? On ITV4, I think it is. A couple of days after. So, yeah.
I always watch it.
It's available for everyone to see. So, yeah, I'm happy with it. I think, Eurosport and Discovery do a great job of all the coverage anyway.
Just briefly before we move on to MotoGP, there was a small matter of that as well.
Yeah.
Calendar next season, and we called it straight away. Did we even talk about this last week? We might have done, but we're going to talk about it.
We touched upon it. It wasn't announced yet.
Yeah, basically yes. There was one. We do read the YouTube comments, by the way, folks. So if you want to get in touch and correct us, maybe on a Wednesday afternoon or something. They'll get read, probably replied to as well. Just saying.
There's lovely Spanish beer for you next season, Leicester.
Not necessarily. I don't take anything for granted. I'm
sure Stuart Higgs has already booked your flights.
Yeah, I have actually booked a hotel just in case, but I that's the only thing that literally just because.
You have booked your hotel already, have you?
Yeah.
Prepared.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not going to wait till after the announcement publicly. If I know when it is.
Well, yeah, because the hotel prices will go up as soon as they know BSB are in town, won't they?
Exactly. So.
Leicester, you're so organised.
Yes, as Lewis will attest to, I'm so organised.
Oh, yeah.
That's me.
So, you're so organised that we got on this show 15 minutes late.
That's generous.
Anyway, are you looking forward to going to Spain, Leicester?
Other than the hotel that I've pre-booked, I've no actual other plans. I've not booked anything because I don't want to jinx anything. Basically, I'm still mentally scarred from the last time I went with BSB to Spain, not because of anything BS, but because of COVID. It was all downhill from there, as we know, in 2020. And that was the last time I think I left the country, apart from to go to Wales or Scotland. So, yeah, I don't want to jinx anything. But, I mean, it'd be nice to go. I've always said it will be a fantastic place for a race, despite what everyone else says, fans. Yeah. I mean, we called it first show of the season, didn't we, Lewis? So,
yeah. We were talking about last November on the Motorsport Radio website as well about the idea of BSB going to Spain. So, yeah, great to see that. Not all the classes, obviously, are going to Spain. British Talent Cup, they're going to get 3 races over there as well. Of course, the main BSB class. And on top of that, Supersport are also heading to Spain. And if I remember right off the top of my head, the BMWs as well. So the Super Stock class, they'll not be at Navarra. Instead, they get a special appearance at the MotoGP round at Silverstone. So Super Stock and British Talent Cup, they'll be on show in front of the MotoGP crowd. So definitely different there. I did watch Stuart Higgs' video, actually, whenever he was talking about the fact Silverstone's not going to be on the calendar. And it's, well, what he said was that Silverstone, well, they wanted to use either the GP layout or the international layout of Silverstone, no longer the national. But sounded like Silverstone didn't want to work with them as much on that as maybe what they would hope.
That's what it was about.
Yeah, well, they couldn't come to a deal on that. And because of that, well, they dropped Silverstone and now we're heading into Spain instead. So definitely going to be a different start to the calendar. And for the World Superbike round at Donington Park, we're going to have the Kawasaki Super Team class. They're going to be in front of them and the BMWs once again. So yeah, I also did see that on some of the rounds next season, we are, well, potentially what it sounds like is we're going to have a guest series, whatever that means, whether that be a local championship, a club championship, or a special
Navarra,
class
there was a space on the timetable or the provisional. This is all provisional, by the way, apart from round 1, which is definite nailed on. But yeah, could be sidecars maybe. Is that that's a guest championship, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess sidecars is a guest championship. Yeah, but if it at Knock Hill, for example, there's going to be 4 races, 4 guest series, and not just 2. So whether that be British F1 and F2 sidecars, or whether it be British F1 and another class, who knows? Yeah, I don't really know. Maybe, who knows? At Knock Hill, we could have a Scottish championship round in front of BSB. I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting anyway that they added that in. But seeing Superstock finally be able to get the chance at MotoGP in front of the MotoGP crowd is definitely going to be interesting. And the Sportbike Cup, they're not going to MotoGP, they're not going to the World Superbikes, and they're not going to Navarra. So they get the short end of the stick, it seems. And as well, final thing to comment on it, BSB, they will only get 2 races at Navarra, unlike the normal 3, which we'll see for the rest of the year.
Yeah, British Talent Cup are not going to Knock Hill, and because of that, they will get 2 extra races elsewhere. Navarra, they'll get 3 races, and somewhere else.
MotoGP,
Donington for the final round. No, MotoGP, it's still just the 2, but for Donington, for the final weekend of the year, British Talent Cup, they'll get 3 races.
So there you go. Jay, are you going to be heading over to Navarra? Will you already be there sunning yourself?
Well, I'm sure you're going to need a helper, Lester, so I'm sure I can tag along with you. You need someone to carry your bags or something, don't you?
Sounds like you've already booked this trip for me. I mean, I'm not even... I don't even know if I'm going yet.
Oh, okay, well, when you are there, I'll be there with you by your side, Lester.
Well, the first round of Fab Racing, I mean, yeah.
It's normally the last weekend in March.
Okay, I may have just revealed that I actually know when this is, but it might be the week before Navarra.
What? You know the Fab dates? I think we'll be having a little discussion when the
this is all,
show
as I said, this is all provisional. Anyway, to my mind, it might be a better idea if all the fab people are going out to the traditional Spanish
Benetton piss up. I mean professional
race
testing
thingy. To do it more nearer the time when BSB are going to be there, so that you're not going out to Spain, coming back to the UK, doing a fab round, and then going back out to Spain, as a lot of people will be doing. But, you know. Anyway, so I may have just revealed a lot there that I wasn't supposed to. Yeah, anyway, should we move on? MotoGP, Lewis, that happened, and anything interesting happen?
Not that much. Yeah, not that much at MotoGP at Mandalika for the Indonesian round. Round 15 out of 20, and the championship lead changed twice throughout the weekend, with Jorge Martin, first of all, winning the sprint race at MotoGP, and then straight away, not straight away, but then in the main race, Pecco Bagnaia, he won the race after Jorge Martin crashed out and reclaimed the championship lead once again. So 18 points separate them in the championship headed into Phillip Island, which is this weekend, while Marc Marquez and his side of the camp, it was announced that he's going to Gresini, I think the day after, or 2 days after, anyway, the show, I think it was on Thursday actually last week, he announced that he's going to go to Gresini finally, and he will have Frankie Carcetti as his crew chief next season. And as well in Moto2, Pedro Costa took the race win in that one with Aaron Canet in second. Jake Dixon finished fourth, and the Dunlop tyres were getting destroyed in the heat this weekend. It was about 60 degrees track temperature, and chunks of tyre were coming off the Dunlop. So not what they'll be wanting. Not great PR anyway for them all across social media, because quite a few riders were posting videos and pictures of their tyres.
Oh yes,
they're not bothered now, are they?
Yeah, well, I guess they're not that bothered. It's going to Pirelli next season. But Dunlop, it's not the first time we've seen some issues with tyres. But in Moto3, on Dunlop tyres, Moreira took the race win in that one and became the first Brazilian to win since Alex Barros in the Grand Prix class. Well, David Alonso and David Munoz joined him at the podium, while Sasaki, he had a crash on the sighting lap, which meant his levers had to be duct taped before the race, and then had to use Jake Dixon's glove. And in British front, as I said, Jake Dixon fourth, and in Moto3, Scott Ogden sadly crashed out the race. So MotoGP, a very exciting weekend, and now we head into Phillip Island with Bagnaia leading the championship once again. But really, you have to wonder who's the strongest at the moment, with very few rounds left on the calendar.
Well, Jay, who do you reckon looks the strongest at the moment?
So coming, up to the main race where Martin cleared off in the sprint race, you were saying Jorge Martin, he's unstoppable at the moment, but this being bike race, and as we always say, anything can happen. Bagnaia has looked a bit down in the doldrums the last few meetings as well.
Ever since Catalonia.
Yeah,
really.
He's kind of looked like he's admitted defeat to Jorge Martin in some ways. But there we go. Look, Jorge Martin, the track was clearly very slippery offline. If you were offline by a couple of inches, it was effectively having a thin, dry line. It was like a drying track. And if you went off that line, there were so many crashes we've seen. Just talking about Sasaki crashing on the warm-up lap. But in MotoGP, I think only 13 riders finished in the end. Obviously, Jorge Martin made a tiny mistake with a big lead out front. I think at the time he was going half a second a lap quicker than anyone else. And he made a stupid mistake. And, we say stupid, an easy mistake, shall we say. And, that could be, we talk about confidence in bike racing. That could be where it's gone straight back into Bagnaia's hands. That's going to fill him full of confidence now going into these last few rounds. And Martin, after catching Pecco up, gradually getting the points down, then taking the lead, and he's got to start all over again now. So, that could be a real switch of the championship going into the final 3 rounds, is it now?
Four.
So we've got Phillip Islands,
Yep.
Malaysia,
Thailand, and Qatar,
Valencia.
and Valencia, actually. So, yeah, still 5 rounds remaining, actually.
Yeah, so it's still a lot of points, especially with these sprint races. There's still a lot of points to play for. So, it's going to be interesting to see. But, yeah, definitely the ball is now back in Bang Nai's side of the court now.
Only just. But is the calendar and the grueling travelling schedule, is that going to start having an effect on riders? And who's it going to affect more?
It's not just the riders, it's the teams as well. Like, everyone in the MotoGP paddock doing this amount of travelling at the moment it must be hard work. So, yeah, it's not just on the riders, it's on the teams as well. They can't afford to make mistakes. Obviously with mechanical things on the bike. So, yeah, it's not just on the riders, it's also on the teams as well. Shout out a few other incidents in the races. Brad Binder as well managed to effectively take out 2 people in the main race. He took out Jorge Martin, was it?
Brad Binder, he initially he took out Miguel Oliveira and Aleix Espargaro as well.
Was it? I thought it was VR46 Ducati. He took out first.
He took out. Give me a moment.
Well, I was sort of semi-conscious, so I'm not a reliable source of information on this. Lewis Google.
It was a VRC.
We'll
it was a VRC6 Friday. I can't remember which one though.
Yeah, Luca Marini did DNF from the race. Yeah,
he took out Luca Marini and then he hit the side of Oliveira. He didn't fall off Oliveira, but he did lose a wing. Brad Binder a bit in the naughty book, shall we say?
Actually, it was it not in the sprint race? It was in the sprint race it was Aleix Espargaro and Brad Binder that had contact with each other. I think it was Aleix losing the front and taking out Brad in that one. And then on the main race itself, Brad Binder, made contact with Luca and Miguel Oliveira. Oliveira did manage to stay on, but his race was practically over. And they get a penalty from both of them.
Yeah, Luca Marini, who also was carrying his long lap penalty from India, he did something extremely clever. So what he did is obviously he got taken out by Binder, but instead of coming, obviously he got back on, he was nowhere in the race. He did his long lap penalty after he crashed, so it doesn't carry on into Phillip Island. So he did his long lap, thought, well, this race is done now, and then came into the pits. So very quick thinking there by Luca Marini to effectively do a long lap penalty that didn't really affect him, shall we say. He was pretty much already out the race anyway.
Yeah, his race was practically over, but at the end of the main race itself, it looked like, I wished that we had another lap or two in this Grand Prix, because it just started to get interesting with Vinales and Quartararo catching up to the back of Bagnaia. So 4 tenths separated them at the line. Vinales and Quartararo, a great result for them. And not to mention, Fabio Di Giannantonio, 4th position after basically a week since it was announced that he's losing his job for next year in MotoGP. Yeah,
he looked very emotional in the Parc Fermé because obviously he was top independent. He's definitely trying to put his name out there because there's not even many World Superbike rides left, or not good ones anyway. So maybe we'll see Digi in BSB next season. You never know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, on the PBM.
And Shane Byrne's team, obviously.
Oh yeah. Or he might just be a test and development rider, maybe.
I don't think there's even many rides left in Moto2, so he's really
not much.
He's really going to struggle to find a ride, which is a bit of a shame, really, because he's not. Obviously, it's up till this point. He's had a good last 2 rounds, but he's not a bad rider, is he? So it is a bit unfortunate for him, really.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about whether someone's a good or bad rider or who deserves a place here or there.
If Marquez comes knocking, you're not really going to stand much of a chance, really, are you?
Well, there's that.
So yeah, anyway, championship leading the way at the moment by, what is it, 18 points?
Yeah.
18 points. Bagnaia is still on top from Martin and Bezzecchi in third. Brad Binder in fourth, Alish in fifth place, Vinales in sixth, Zarco seventh, Marini in eighth, Jack Miller in ninth, Quartararo having a strange good weekend, I suppose. But he's in 10th in the championship.
Best weekend of the season.
Yeah,
it was a great weekend. But he did say as well, actually, after the race had finished, to Canal Sports, which is the French broadcaster for MotoGP, that if he was given a good bike, he would be able to win the race. So it's still a slap in the face for Yamaha after the podium, but still great to see.
Well, if he could develop a good bike as well. So it doesn't always, sometimes riders, I get that they want a good bike delivered to them on a plate, but sometimes you've got to put in the hard work and develop things and, stick it out and do. Marc Marquez sometimes doesn't always work out, but
I think shout out to him as well this weekend. I think Alex Rins is going to be a good signing for Yamaha next season with his experience on other motorcycles. And well done to him this weekend as well. It was his first, shall we say, full comeback. I know he did try in Japan, but he got a top 10. And with the massive injuries he has had just to finish the race, it was really good to see him back as well. So I think if he can get back to full fitness for next season, I think that's going to be a really good signing for Yamaha.
And you just reminded me there that obviously Alex Marquez, he was injured this weekend. And he thought about riding, he tried to ride, but he experienced too much pain from his ribs, so he didn't race, which means after round 15 of the MotoGP World Championship, we've yet to have a main race where all riders have started it. And now we're only 5 rounds to the end of the year and yet to have a race of all riders starting it. So hopefully we can have that at the Australian Grand Prix.
Is that down, do you think, to these extra races they're having to do this season? It must
be less time to recover, isn't it? So
like and having these extra races and these sprint races, shall we say, especially at the start of the season, were very hectic. They were like, right, hold my beer, lads, it's time to go for this, because you just there's no like tyre saving, is there? It's literally just go. And you could see that from both the injured VR46 riders in the sprint race. They both did amazing. I mean, I think Bezzecchi, did he have a broken collarbone, was it? I think.
Yeah, but Bezzecchi and Luca Marini got broken collarbones, but Bezzecchi's was far newer.
Yeah, and they both got on the podium in the sprint race. So that was really, really well done by them. Even Bezzecchi in the main race, I still believe he came 50. So still really good result.
And he didn't arrive to the circuit until something like 3 a.m. on Friday. And he was absolutely destroyed. He fell asleep actually after free practice had finished for the day when I think he finished second overall in practice on Friday. So Bezzecchi with some crazy amount of jet lag after not even knowing he would race. He just woke up, I think, like Tuesday morning or something, and he felt far better. And then that's when he decided he would try and make it race and tried to make it the way to Indonesia from Italy, which is something like a 32-hour flight in total. So he's done well anyway.
That's nearly on par with when Lorenzo, I think he broke his collarbone on Friday, went back home.
Thursday.
Yeah, because it went back home, got it surgery, and then came back and raced. So not quite as good as Lorenzo, but not far off. That's still really impressive, especially to get a podium in the sprint race as well.
Okay. Moto 2 then. We've not talked about Moto 2, have we?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah.
And pretty uneventful race, to be honest with you. Pedro Acosta made it look easy. I was a bit surprised to not see Tantra do better this weekend, because he normally does really well at this track.
Finished 7th.
But a good result for Dixon coming 4th, and I think Sam came 9th, I believe, was it?
So Sam finished 10th in the end after battling for 9th with Joe Roberts all race.
So it was. I think that's the first time we've seen both of them in the top 10 for a while. To be fair, normally one of them crashes or has incidents. So for both Brits to finish in the top 10, that was a good weekend.
Well, the third Brit, Rory Skinner, did finish 19th in the race.
Oh, it's not a bad result either.
It's not bad, but it's not good.
Hopefully he will get a point before the end of the season. I think that's what I'd be hoping for. It would be nice for him to score at the end of the season.
Yeah. I think he's earned it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough year for him. And actually, Jay, you missed the most, the worst part of the race for you. Alonso Lopez crashing.
Mate.
I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, Alonso Lopez, first corner as well. Absolutely devastated for him. Yeah, really unlucky. So yeah, hopefully he'll come bouncing back, or hope not literally at Phillip Island.
Oh well, we did just for clarification. We did invite him onto the show a number of ways, and he's ignored us.
He heard what Jay was saying, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that would have helped. I showed him the link to the latest show where Jay was slagging him right off.
Well, I'm not the only one, does. Even the BT commentators do, so I'm not the only one.
Well, the invite's still there anyway, if you want it.
We're quite happy to have him on the show and question him all about his professional overtakes that he does.
Well, there's always this weekend, I suppose, coming up. Anyway, so Moto2 then. Not really much to talk about.
No,
not really.
Apart from the tyres obviously destroying themselves as well. I mean, like, we're talking huge chunks of tyres of majority of the bikes in the field after the race, which was a little bit concerning.
Shocking.
And it was. And in MotoGP, actually, what I forgot to mention is, talking about tyres, Michelin actually told nobody to use the soft tyre, and they actually thought about pulling it out the allocation because they didn't know if it would be safe enough to make it to the end of the race. They kept it in. Aleix Espargaro tried, and, well, he plummeted down the order like a stone in the race after about 10 laps. So, yeah, definitely should listen to Michelin on that one. But, yeah, the Dunlops destroying themselves in Moto2. Very concerning from Dunlop tyres, once again, so hopefully they find the cause to the issue. I mean, it was extremely hot temperatures, to be fair to them. I think it was 61 degrees ground temperature at the track when I was looking on live timing. So, yeah, extremely hot.
Yeah, that's nothing compared to the temperatures at Fab Racing at Wilton Mill this season, was it, Jay?
Oh, yeah, my paddling pool worked a treat there with those scorching hot temperatures.
Yeah, and had to be temporarily cooled down with a towel to the face during an interview, which was...
Oh, yes, I haven't watched that interview back, surprisingly.
It's there may be a small clip of it on the Motorsport Radio page.
Past 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you can share it.
I'm surprised you've not already...
I'll have a watch. Has it been put on the Facebook page, has it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll check it out at the end of the show once you've told me all the Fab dates for next season.
Anyway, yeah. So just 40 points in the championship between Dixon and Arbolino, if I've done the maths correctly. So
bit of a savage move we forgot about that. A bit of a savage move on the last corner by Dixon to get fourth place as well.
On Gonzalez.
Yeah, proper rammed him out the way. Gonzalez, to be fair, didn't make a meal of it or anything like that. But, it was a savage move on the last corner. But, yeah, he got it done. Fourth place. Probably the best Jake could hope for, really, from the pace that he had all weekend.
Yeah. Great move on him. And hopefully, in Gonzalez's case, we could see him actually get a better result than fifth. It seems all he gets at this time of the season is fifth. Almost got a fourth place, his best result of the season. Dixon pips him on the last lap. Gonzalez, really rate him, and definitely think he's going to be a title contender next season.
Fair enough. Okay. So another Acosta triumph this weekend?
He's making it look a bit easy at the moment. So, he's going to... Yeah, I think he's going to obviously go moving up to MotoGP next season. It's going to be interesting to see how he can do. If he is going to be, like, as everyone says, the next Marquez. So, I don't think he's quite going to hit the ground running like Marquez did in MotoGP, but I still think he's going to... As I think I predicted last week, I think he could get a podium in his first year. I think he could get a podium. And I said podium, and I think he'll get top 10 in the championship.
Interesting. Okay. Your thoughts on that, Lewis?
Yeah, I don't see him hitting the ground running, like Jay said. I don't know about a podium. I would happily comment after at least we've seen some times on the MotoGP bike. But I think it's going to be really interesting next season in the gas camp between Fernandez and Acosta, because of course Fernandez next season, he's going to have a whole year ahead in the MotoGP class. So it's going to be interesting to see how Pedro Acosta compares to him and compares to his teammate, which has an extra year on the bike and on the machinery. So yeah, I think Fernandez is definitely going to have to keep his eye on his teammate next season, because he could... I don't think he'll embarrass him, because really everyone knows how talented Pedro Acosta is. I mean, he's a rookie Moto3 world champion, and he's looking to take the Moto2 title in his second year. I mean, I don't know, is it too early to say the Moto2 title has been wrapped up yet?
Well, I was just having a look.
Too early to say he's won it?
Yeah, 65 points is the gap now from Acosta to second place Arbolino. And, not quite. How many rounds left? 4, did you say?
5.
It's not done, but it's going to take... He's effectively got a DNF in 2 of those races, and with how consistent he's been, it's going to be difficult to see that happen. Well, unless we have some adverse weather, maybe, which in these last few rounds is not unheard of.
It's normally at this point in... a rider's dominant season when everyone just thinks, as I said earlier, yeah, obviously he's going to win again this weekend, or he's going to be, right up there at the and it's normally when people just start just taking it for granted that he's just going to deliver the goods and stretch out that gap in the championship, when boom, something happens.
Jorge Martin.
Yes.
So
just when he's closing the gap, no mistakes, pretty much all year he crashes. So yeah, who knows? Pedro Acosta is usually cool, calm and collected, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, don't wish him any harm, but at the same time, we would like a bit of a fight for the championship.
I think we've got that in Moto3 and MotoGP this year. So
yeah,
we're doing all right.
I think also the past couple of rounds of the championship going in Moto2 anyway, the championship lead going stretching so much as it has, I think it's more down to Tony Arbolino's inconsistent running of results in qualifyings compared to Pedro Acosta's dominance. Really, we haven't seen the same Tony Arbolino in quite a while, to be honest.
Right, we are running out of time, and
yes.
I don't want to keep everyone too long, because apparently some people have some sort of work to go to tomorrow. Moto3, we did briefly talk about it earlier, or you did anyway, Lewis, and a first victory for the Brazilian, what's his face, Moreira, and the first Brazilian win since...
Alex Barros was the last Brazilian win. I think it was 2005.
Okay. Fair enough.
Would have been on the Camel Honda, I believe. Your bright yellow bike.
Bro.
Or it might have been a Repsol bike, because he did ride for them for a season as well.
Just having a look down the order here. I did actually watch Moto3. I woke up. No, what was I doing? Whatever it was. I did watch it. And then I think it was kind of in a hazy, sleepy, I'm going to stay away. I'm going to a cup of coffee and some snacks as well. And then all of a sudden, it was 5 p.m. on Sunday. I was like, what the hell? Okay, I've missed everything now. Then, so. So that was my day, basically ruined. Sleeping. But I did watch Moto3. I just can't remember much of it. I do remember seeing Scott Ogden, though, just having like a bit of a pathetic kind of fall and out of the race. And
it was just the track. It was very dirty this weekend.
Oh, it's filthy, outrageous.
We seen it in MotoGP, we seen it in Moto2, we seen it in Moto3. Scott Ogden's crash, to be fair to him, he just ran a little bit wide, and then it's like riding on ice, because the practical is riding on is a bunch of sand and dirt and crap, basically, because the track, I don't believe, has been used since World Superbike went there about 6 months ago. Nothing's really been out on it.
Hadn't it been resurfaced, though?
Yeah. Well, they've resurfaced it as well since then. But nothing's really been out on it. There's no car racing that happens there. All that happens at the track is, I think, the Asian Road Racing Championship, World Superbike, and MotoGP. So, really,
they really needed a sidecar support class there this weekend.
Yeah, yes, that's what they needed there. Or maybe get some pit bikes or something, Jay.
Yeah, we could have done burnouts all the way around the track.
Next time you're at in a Dorna paddock, or maybe get your brother to suggest,
or just speak to Mark Marquez over dinner. I'm sure he has some connections.
Okay,
Well, he was the one who told me not to take the Repsol ride, to be fair.
Well, okay, but anyway, next time you're having dinner with Mark Marquez, just suggest it. Throw a few ideas around. Maybe Fab might want to just fill in a gap if anyone needs basically a track sweeping event. We'll be happy to turn up there. A few mini bikes and sidecars and whatnot, and pit bikes, of course.
I think that's a perfect way to end the show.
Okay. So it has been a great weekend and a great season in BSB, and we've enjoyed it, and we've decided universally that it was definitely, because we decided it already, that it was the best ever BSB season overall, as a whole. Yeah. Anyway, which was
it had everything.
A nice way to end. Just quickly, then, just very, 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 very super quickly. What's on this weekend? We already know. I think there's only MotoGP on this weekend. And
I think so.
Nothing else? I don't think so.
No, the World Superbikes is the next weekend after. So,
okay. And Jay, what will you be doing this weekend?
On the night shift, I guess, watching all the brilliant MotoGP action. I have actually got nothing bike related to do this weekend. I'll be sitting at home watching the MotoGP.
Well, don't forget to tune in every Friday and Saturday to the Motorsport Radio Paddock Party. It's it's a fun-filled evening of entertainment and music streaming on Motorsport Radio. Yes, so while you're on your night shift, for example, stick Motorsport Radio on, and or if you
stay awake,
something like that, as opposed to what we're normally doing, put people on sleep.
I'm going to have to get a crate of Red Bulls in to keep myself awake. I'm sure the racing will be exciting enough not to have to worry about it.
Lewis, I already kind of know what you're doing anyway. You're going to stay awake with a tub of ice cream.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'll be doing. Destroying my sleep schedule 3 days in a row, once again, with a tub of ice cream.
Yeah, but you're young, and you can get away with it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll be fine for the Monday after, and then ready to go all again for the next MotoGP round after that. So, going to be a great end to the season. Phillip Island, always one of the best races of the year. I'm expecting to see 5-6 bikes battling the MotoGP, an 18-bike field battling the Moto3 on the last lap as well. So, it's going to be a good weekend at Phillip Island. It always is some of the best racing that we have all year.
Yeah. Exactly. So, that's the only thing that's on this weekend. We'll be back next weekend to, I guess, review the season, maybe, or I don't even know what we're doing yet, but talk about MotoGP.
Let's try and get some guests on.
Let's do a guest. Yes. By the way, Owen Jenner did get back to me, and I did ask him what is he doing next year. He's got any plans? He says nothing unless we can come up with 80 grand for him.
That's obviously what Paul Bird's asking for then, or Jordan Bird, shall we say.
I didn't ask him that.
Think about it.
We can get him on next week and ask, can't we?
Maybe, but I did ask what is he doing next year, and he did reply during the show, nothing yet, unless he's got 80 grand.
Just give him 80 grand. So, Lester, do you have £80,000 to give Owen Jenner?
I'm just down to my last 50, unfortunately. I can't quite afford that. So, unfortunately. Yeah. But hey ho, good show. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you again next Tuesday, live at 8. Bye.
This is Motorsport Radio.
1, 2.
Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.